Oh my god. It's like, to look it over, I would have to say it's definitely not as good as last season. If I had to pick which season was the best so far, it might be season 6. Maybe season 1 or season 6. I think maybe it's a tie between those two seasons. Season 7 was, yeah, it wasn't that great. So I watched Fiona and Cake on HBO Max, or Max as they call it now. And it is really, really, really good. It's easily the best Adventure Time content we've had since the Steak Saga, and it's awesome to hear Jeremy Shada be in a sequel to a property that doesn't bastardize the original source. I guess the third time's the charm after all, isn't it? So yeah, in case you couldn't tell from the last 6 videos I made on this show, and some of the other videos involving this show that I've guest starred in, I don't really like Dragons and Nine Realms all that much.
It happened last night around 3 in the morning. I woke up and I just couldn't move my perfect body.
Welcome to paraplegia, stupid.
Who are you?
I'm your worst nightmare, bitch.
Oh, you smell like cigarettes.
No, I don't.
It's soulless, it's vapid, it's not well animated, and it just screams the words cash grab in your face for a whopping 7 seasons now. And the crazier thing about it is that the only people who actually watch this show, apparently from what I've seen, are the people who shit on it like myself. YouTubers are single-handedly paying these writers and animators mortgages. We're putting bread on the table for their kids and everything. Now, obviously I have no beef with them personally, as that should just go without saying. It's just the utter repulsive and lazy shit that they're pumping out every couple of months that's got me steamed. It was going nowhere and existed just for the sake of existing, to try and wring out what little money can be obtained by the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. And it's been very clear of that objective since day one, when season 1 just blatantly copied the first movie practically scene for scene, right down to the famous forbidden friendship scene. It was lazy at best and pathetic at worst. But then with these last 2 seasons, things finally seemed to be happening. The adults learned about the dragons, villains were appearing, and it seemed like the end was right around the corner, so it couldn't get any worse, right? Right? It got worse. It got so much worse. And on top of that, it got smug. Like rich white kid smug. The kind of smugness that says, I can do whatever I want because I have money. The basic rules on how to write a story, create a believable world and scenario, develop a character, and actually have some goddamn consistency doesn't apply to me. Who cares about what some jerk-offs on the internet say about this show? We got paid, and that's all that matters. And to that attitude, I say, well, boy, you sure showed us. I mean, nobody talks about your show, save for the fact that it's awful and to make fun of your work, but sure, telling us that you're not even gonna bother trying to improve your own craft honestly says way more about you than it does us. I mean, sure, you can call us assholes for being critical all you want. Hell, I might even agree with you on that, but clearly, we're not the only assholes out there. But perhaps I'm getting a little too ahead of myself in this video. This is the 7th season of the show, and judging from how it ends, season 8 has to be the final season. I don't know just how the hell they could continue following it, but I'm honestly too afraid to make those assumptions since these writers, in their sheer confidence, have proven that they have what it takes to keep this shit going for as long as they fucking want to. Far longer than anyone expected it to. But do you want to know how I'm so sure they're watching our videos? Well, because a lot of our concerns that involves addressing the 9 realms and Norse mythology, the parents, June as a whole, Alex as a whole, yes, even her, writing a basic story, Eugene, and of course, Hiccup's connection to all of it. All of these problems that me, Audrey, Ember Nexus, and other critics have voiced out over the last 2 years are addressed with a side glance and a huge middle finger with the words "bite me" tattooed on it. You thought Tom feeding Hiccup's leg to a dragon was a middle finger to the fans? Well, trust me when I say, they managed to find a way to say, go fuck yourself, in a louder, stronger way in this season. They say it with their chest this whole time. But we're getting ahead of ourselves again, so let's give the writers exactly what they wanted this season. Clout. Episode 1. The Parents. So in this episode, D'Angelo opens up a dragon hospital. You know, considering how the last season ended, You know, with Buzzsaw literally raining fire on innocent civilians like it's the Obama administration, you'd figure that that would be the very first thing they'd address at the beginning of this season. Oh, but no, of course not. Because since when have these writers ever handled a cliffhanger properly by addressing it immediately at the start? Well, I guess there was the beginning of season 5 where Olivia discovered the truth about dragons, but at this point, I'm starting to think that was an accident. Because as we learned from D'Angelo's dad, whose name I don't care enough to look up, casually mentions that it's been weeks since the attack.
D'Angelo, do I have to remind you about Buzzsaw, the hatchet-wielding lunatic with a giant dragon who attacked the town a few weeks back?
Who just casually jumps ahead weeks after what was pretty much a terrorist attack. This is like watching the Twin Towers come down, only to just jump straight ahead to the mission accomplished banner. 2 war in Afghanistan jokes in the span of a minute. This season has done weird things to me, and we're only just getting started. But for real, what is it with this show and time skips? Every season is like this. We jumped weeks ahead in season 4, a full week in season 5, weeks more in season 6.
What the fuck was that?
Like, are we operating in dog years or something? For a show that's supposed to have an overarching narrative, they sure seem to cut the fat a lot. And we're operating on a Barbie doll. What sense does it even make to jump ahead this far? A day or 2 makes perfect sense. A few days or, hell, maybe even a week would be acceptable. But literal weeks? As in multiple? And we don't even address the fact that the kids lied about Buzzsaw! Oh, as if that should even be a surprise. Take a shot every time these writers have set something up, only to just never address it again. Yeah, remember how I brought up the rule of Chekhov's gun in a previous video? Well, these writers are now doing their damnedest to ignore it. So, yeah, the parents don't give a shit that they lied about Buzzsaw, the literal terrorist that almost murdered them all, and it's still out there! No, instead, D'Angelo's dad is upset that his son is in this hospital for dragons and believes that he's wasting his time. Meanwhile, Tom and the others are blowing up these ugly-ass stand-ins of Tom that they never explain how they got, but you know what, Tom's getting murdered, so I'll allow it.
Speaking of your mom, I can't believe she trusts you enough to let you go back to the realms now that she knows about Buzzsaw.
Okay, it took a lot of convincing. And she probably trusts Thunder more than she trusts me. But whatever, that works too.
Oh, that's right! Olivia's not even in this fucking season! She is nowhere to be found, which honestly doesn't even surprise me. June's mom doesn't appear either, despite her being the fucking boss of this place. But seriously, she had the last line of season 6. Shouldn't there be a scene of her confronting Tom about lying to her? Oh, who am I fucking joking? She's probably in a bathroom stall somewhere, passed out on the ketamine again this whole season. What else is new? So, try to understand this logic. D'Angelo's dad wants him to go do rounds around the base in order to keep an eye out for Buzzsaw in case he comes back, even though he's a dragon rider and belongs with the team of other dragon riders. So instead of sending the kid, who's essentially the tank and medic of the group with his team, to go deal with the problem, he wants him to run around the base a little bit. I know this decision simply comes down to his dad wanting D'Angelo to follow in his footsteps and become a soldier too, but soldiers go to war too, Dad. The least you could do is send him to where he'd be better served, idiot. I also love how this episode literally hints at a sex scene between the dad and his wife. Wasn't this show rated TVG? Well, why is it now rated TVY7 when it has stuff like this in it? It's literally implying that they fucked earlier. Like, why is this in your Y7 rated show? Your character models are ugly enough. We don't need to see them topless. So the security system goes off and D'Angelo and his dad go to check it out, only to find that it's a hobgoblin. So they take it to the hospital to get it checked out.
You are ugly. So ugly. The whole world faked the pandemic just to get you to put on a mask. You're so ugly. When your dad dropped you off at school, they arrested him for littering. You're so ugly. The government moved Halloween to your birthday. You're so ugly. You're the reason they turn off the lights at the movie theater. You're so ugly even Hello Kitty said goodbye to you.
So, what's the word?
What's that fucking face he was making? Just a... like he was posing for Vogue magazine or some shit. What the fuck?
Might be time to restrict dragons from being in town. Then you won't have to waste your days in this hospital. You'll be on the front lines where you belong.
Dad!
And by on the front lines, I mean here at the base doing nothing while Buzzsaw is out there. Impeccable logic, Chief of Security. But, as it turns out, the Hobgoblin has taken a liking to the Chief, which is admittedly pretty funny, and follows him around the house.
What?
Oh, look. He likes you, Philip.
Holy shit, when did you have dialogue? I think the last time Dee's mom had any dialogue was in season 2. She's just been in the background doing nothing this whole time.
I would think you'd be more upset. He did steal your spot in the bed.
Oh, Jesus Christ, shut up, just shut the fuck up, Philip. Shut up, you know what you meant. You know what you're doing, you fucking assholes.
You did not have to do that. You knew you did not have to do that. How could you have done that? Can you live with yourself? What you've gone and done. Look what you've gone and done here. For God's sake, you're a bunch of fucking degenerates.
Meanwhile, Tom and the others are on a mission to get the Book of Dragons back.
You know, it's not too late to go back to the lair. Sit in the hot springs, plan a future that doesn't involve death and dismemberment.
As based as Alex is being right now, she does remember how important that book is, right? The longer Buzzsaw has it, the more dangerous to dragons he becomes. Why are y'all making me criticize the queen here? For real. Back in town, Dee's dad has had enough of the hobgoblin and kicked it out of the house, despite it still being injured. He also signs a paper banning dragons from town for good. So, quick question. Shouldn't this have been an issue last season? You know, right when the adults were learning about dragons and having to deal with all that shit? Why is this issue only just now being brought up? And not in a dragons burnt down a building way or dragons almost murdered someone way. No, it was because this dragon got into my shaving cream and ate my lunch. Seriously? Again, I know this all falls back to Dee's dad doing it just to get his son out of the hospital and into the field. And by field, I mean a different field that's not where Buzzsaw is. Again, great logic, Chief of Security! But this is definitely a conflict that should have been brought up last season. And not just for one episode like it's done here. I know they shouldn't just do what RaisorBlade did, but given the setting in modern day, you can do things differently. But no. For some reason, the show just doesn't have the imagination to even justify being in the modern age. Because, wouldn't you guess it, for some odd reason, Buzzsaw is using fucking giant crossbows instead of normal modern day weapons. So Tom's dumbass gets caught trying to get the Book of Dragons back, and Buzzsaw pulls out his secret weapon, which is just a giant crossbow.
Wait, move out the way, asswipe! Move out the way, asswipe! Damn!
I'm sorry, but shouldn't he be using, like, fucking RPGs or some shit? We're in the modern day! Fucking act like it! And before people start bitching in the comments about this being a kid show, there are kid shows out there that show guns before. In fact, there are kid shows out there that have shown way worse than guns. So maybe just grow a pair and get the fuck over it, guys. I remember I got some comments on my Let's Watch video in episode 1 of this season where people telling me that it'd be hard for him to get guns since we're supposedly in a Nordic region. And to that, I say, he's a criminal. He's perfectly cool with murdering children and bombing cities, so is having him use guns really all that unbelievable? Just have him get some guns from the black market or something, I don't know. Either that or the United States of America. Also, why didn't Feathers just grab the book? Feathers can turn invisible. I'm not even surprised, honestly. Meanwhile, D'Angelo and his dad go to find the hobgoblin and run into a speed stinger.
I know I have anti-venom for their stings back at the hospital, but that doesn't really help us now.
You developed anti-venom?
Yes, with Dr. Colerson's help.
Of course that happened off screen, as fucking always.
Come on, D'Angelo, save yourself! All right, Dragon. You're messing with the wrong Ranger.
I mean, yeah. What did you think would happen when you fist fight a dragon, dumbass? You know what would have been a nice idea? If all the parents got their own dragons or learned to train one themselves. That sounds like a great idea for, hell, multiple episodes. Every kid could deal with their parents in some way like Dee does with his father in this one. You can introduce new dragons that way. Plus, considering the fact that the adults know about Buzzsaw now, wouldn't it make even more sense now for the adults to have their own dragons? To learn about dragons and how they function and shit? In fact, according to the trailer for this season, it very much seemed like that was what this season was going to be all about.
Who's ready to train some dragons? Huh?
Come on, get some!
Is that right? Your hand's on his butt, man.
Liar, liar, plants for hire.
But once again, the marketing lied to our faces. Dee's father is the only parent who gets his own dragon, and it's mostly just for shits and giggles from here on out. It's just so fucked up how the season has to lie to us again in its marketing. It's just a shitty, underhanded way to get people to watch the show. You shouldn't have to lie to your audience just to get them to watch. Whether you like this shit or not, you can't deny that's a shitty thing to do. I guess it was kind of nice seeing D'Angelo stand up to his dad after all this time, but this shit is just so too little too late. This kind of stuff should have happened ages ago. The parents getting involved in dragons, Dee standing up to his dad, all of it. But hey, at least a parent has a dragon now. Whoop-de-fucking-do. He still does jack shit in this season, and most of the other parents aren't even fucking here. What a surprise. Episode 2. June. Fuck this episode. Fuck this stupid-ass episode. No, I'm dead serious. Fuck this episode and its fugly fucking face. God, I haven't been this mad at an episode of television since that episode of Big Hero 6 the series where that stupid-ass K-pop band came to San Francisco. And honestly, I think this episode is worse than that. Yeah, you heard me. This episode might just be worse than the worst episode of the worst show I've ever watched. And yes, Big Hero 6 the series is still the worst show I've ever watched. It is in fact worse than the 9 Realms. Because while Big Hero 6 the series was a completely worthless experience from start to finish, the 9 Realms, at the very least, gave me Alex, some genuinely good friends in real life, and a few cool dragons. Oh, but none of that saves this episode from the sheer level of toxicity that it emits. It is terrible. It just might be the worst episode of the whole show. Bar fucking none. So, yeah. The inevitable finally happened. I remember I saw this tweet from Angelic on Twitter and, yeah. We lost. My deepest sympathies to everyone who shipped Tom and Alex, but it's sadly never gonna happen now. Tom and June are officially together.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
And here's the thing. No matter how it happened, it was gonna suck. Nobody was rooting for the ship. Nobody. Not a single person was shipping it. June has proven time and time again that she is awful. She is unbearable. She always prioritizes her stupid-ass belief in fairy tales over everything else, regardless of how it affects other people. And you guys seriously want to put this person in a relationship? A relationship, mind you, that you barely even fucking hinted at being a possibility, say for like 2 scenes? Now don't get me wrong, a part of me is kind of glad you haven't been showing it, since I can only throw up so much before my doctor considers me legally bulimic, but still! Meanwhile, Tom and Alex have had at least a dozen scenes in this show so far. Remember in Season 1 Episode 6? Or Season 2 Episode 4? You're gonna tell me that June somehow has better chemistry with Tom than Alex does? For real.
This is why I don't listen to people when they tell me it's safe outside. Because it is not safe outside.
No, not always. There are never any guarantees. So I leave it for you to decide.
Well, you have been chasing her around trying to tackle her, and you said she bonded with me. Probably?
I care about Wu Wei too, but enough is enough. We were lucky to survive back there.
We're so close.
Close to what? Dying? Why are you so dead set on believing that story?
You think you're the first to tell me I'm crazy for believing in myths?
Okay, it's horrible.
You can't keep flying off to do everything by yourself. And this is coming from the girl who likes to do everything by herself.
I guess I spent so much time traveling with my mom, adventuring by myself. It's hard for me to let people get too close.
If the dragon riders are gonna work, you have to start letting us into yours. You're a natural leader, Cullerson. You just don't know it yet.
I'll try harder to open up. I promise.
Are you in love? I am in love. Are you in love? I'm in love too. I agree.
But if she's already been down in the realms, she could have just gone whenever she wanted. She didn't even need you.
Gee, Tom, did you ever think that maybe she wanted me there? Yeah, that's what I thought.
From my cold, dead, gauntlet dastardly witch!
How is he?
His breathing is kind of slow.
And what about you?
I'm just worried about him.
They'll be back soon with the flowers.
I don't know what I'll do if
if this doesn't turn out okay.
You know I understand. We all do.
This right here is my favorite thing ever. In the history of forever. I think about this every day. I think about this all night long. I stay awake, not sleeping, because I'm thinking about this.
What? Real funny, Eugene. I've known June like forever. Wouldn't that be like super weird? Like June. She's weird.
Since you're so weirded out by me and I'm so yikes to you, I'll just leave you alone. You'd probably prefer that anyway.
Now the main problem area is up here. All of this going on up here is what's causing me the most physical discomfort. It's like a visceral reaction of discontent coming from this area. This area is not good either. I hate this, but I'm mainly worried about this.
It's like the writers genuinely don't know what real development in chemistry is. You know, when one character has an impact on another character and ends up making that character a better person, that's a good thing. Alex has shared stories about her culture, her past, and even let Tom borrow her dragon at one point. The one thing closer to her than her fucking tablet. She let Tom borrow feathers. Meanwhile, all Tom and June have done is make each other worse. All Tom does is blow sunshine up her ass to make her feel special, and all June does is gaslight people and play the victim whenever things don't go her way. I know it's only for a joke in this season, but how sad is it that Eugene constantly tells Tom throughout this season that he's actually better off without his sister? Even Eugene has had better chemistry with Alex than he does with his own sister, because even his dumbass ain't blind to how toxic and terrible that she is. So, in this episode, Eugene just straight up goes up to them and says, hey, I know your relationship would be toxic as all fuck, but John Teligan apparently doesn't think so, and calling out said abuse apparently makes you the toxic one. Seriously, John, are you, okay? You good, man? But anyway, you were childhood friends, so the cliche dictates that you're destined to fuck, but Tom, being a dumbass, says he doesn't like her that way, and June, being the center of the fucking universe, of course takes it the wrong way. This is the episode. This is the whole episode, by the way. The worst elements of these two awful characters on full display for everyone to watch.
Right, Tom. That would never happen because I'm just super weird. In fact,
You are.
since you're so weirded out by me and I'm so yikes to you, I'll just
You are.
leave you alone. You'd probably prefer that anyway.
You are. Yes, I would. I think we all would. Yes, absolutely. 100%. This is the best outcome. I could pause right here and stop watching the show, and it would be the perfect ending. Like, we wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. This would be the best place to end the show. Let's just stop right there. We're done. Oh, but do you want to know how we can make this even worse? You really want to know? How about we actually rip off Avatar: The Last Airbender? Yeah, let's just fucking do that! So Buzzsaw shows up to attack the kids, and Tom and June get stuck inside this cave, and now they have to get out. It's literally the Cave of Two Lovers. It's actually just the Cave of Two Lovers from Avatar, and the writers are blatant about it. Did they really think no one would notice them stealing the plot from one of the most popular, critically acclaimed, and beloved animated shows of all time? What the fuck were they thinking? It's not just the basic plot beats they steal. No, they have the lights in the ceiling that glow in the dark. We have the misunderstanding scene between the two lovers. We have the fucking badger moles in the form of these dragons that eventually help our main characters escape! It's literally the Cave of Two Lovers. Just stolen! Stolen like the Declaration of Independence. I mean, what the fuck? It's bad enough to steal from your own franchise, but now you're just stealing from other franchises, other better franchises. Talk about the worst possible thing you can do when you are a writer. It's one thing to be inspired by great work, but to steal it is just low. I would be ashamed if I just ended up stealing from other people's works. I cannot believe I'm forced to play that Alan Moore clip that I used in my Bright review again. It's unbelievable!
As a prospective writer, I would urge you to not only
watch good TV shows, watch bad TV shows
as well, because they can be more inspiring than the
good TV shows.
If you're inspired by
good TV shows,
there is always the danger of plagiarism, of doing something that is too much like that
good TV shows.
Whereas a genuinely helpful reaction to a piece of work that you're
watching
is, Jesus Christ, I could write this. That is immensely liberating, to find somebody who is published who is doing much, much worse than you. And by analysing why they are doing so badly, this will immensely help your own style. You will find out all of the mistakes not to make. Why did this story offend me so much? Yeah, analyse that. Find out why you didn't like it. Find out all of the examples of clumsiness or bad thinking that spoiled the story for you. That will probably be a lot more helpful to your career as a writer.
It's actually ironic, as in honesty, when I become a writer someday, I'll probably end up taking more inspiration from the Nine Realms than I would, say, Race to the Edge or the movies. That's not a compliment, by the way, because now I know how not to write a plot, a character arc, a theme, or a romance, because, Jesus Christ, I can write this shit. And it's just deplorable at how fucking low these writers have gotten. And yet somehow they managed to dig deeper. Because why actually improve your craft when you can just make self-aware jokes about how awful your writing is?
We wouldn't even be in this position if Eugene had just kept his big mouth shut.
More like this wouldn't have happened if you didn't give a big, cringy speech about how unlikable and weird I am.
Wow! That sounds exactly like how we've been describing this bitch for 2 years now! How does acknowledging how unlikable of a person that you wrote make her any less unlikable? How does this suddenly give Tom and June better chemistry? How does this suddenly fix every poor action that June has done to Tom or any of her friends? Or brother? Genuine question. How does making self-aware statements like that fix your writing? Well, if you ask me, this question has about the same energy as states' rights to do what? In that, you know what the answer is, and you're not gonna fucking like it. I have no doubt in my mind that these writers are doing this to solely troll those who don't like June. I mean, why else would they have her actively act even more petty and childish than ever before?
Careful, Tom. If you mess this up, you'll be stuck in here with me forever. And we both know you'd hate that.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
You know what? I know I'm gonna get flack for saying this, but you know what? They deserve each other. Yeah, you heard me. They deserve each other. I mean, at this point, these two dumbasses are so far gone that at this point, why the fuck not, right? Alex definitely deserves better than Tom. In fact, Alex is too good for every character in this show. She's a strong, independent bitch who leaves the others in the ditch. She don't need no clown holding her down. She's a queen, baby. And as for these two fuckers, fuck them. Let them kill each other with their dumbassery. They'll be doing us all a favor.
Princess Trunks.
Please, no.
You lied to me.
I did no such thing.
You dirty boy.
Goku, get me off this planet right now. I'm serious. Instant death.
Despite Alex having some good moments in this episode, it's sadly not enough to save this episode. This episode hurt. It made me physically cringe in a way this show has yet to accomplish. It is bad. And the fact that it knows it's bad just makes it even more unbearable. Yeah, this is easily the worst episode of the show so far, and yet I am terrified at the fact that these writers might actively try to top it now, knowing it's gonna piss people off. They're just sitting in their little writer's room thinking of new ways to bastardize the original property and even bastardize the current property they're working on. And furthermore, what's even the point of carrying on? They're just laughing at this video the longer it goes on. I'm screaming at a wall at this point. Fuck it, let's just move on. Episode 3. The Nine Realms. So, if you guys have been keeping up with my Nine Realms videos, you'll know that I've been keeping track of the various realms that we've been encountering. I mean, the show wasn't doing it, so someone had to. It wasn't gonna be Audrey after all.
Okay, who wants to call bets on what it's gonna be called? I'm saying it's the Ice Realm.
I mean, what else would you call it?
Snow
I don't know,
Realm?
the Cold Realm? Snow Realm? Yeah.
Well, in Norse mythology, technically that would be hell.
Yeah, but this show doesn't give a shit about Norse mythology.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just saying out loud.
Now, don't get me wrong, she was right, but still. So I took on the burden of keeping track of all the realms, thinking to myself, the show will never bring it up themselves. They brought it up themselves. finally, in the 7th season of this shit, they finally acknowledged the 9 realms in a show that's titled The 9 Realms. Well, how about that?
Well, took you long enough.
Beginning to think you'd never come.
Oh, it's like that.
So in this episode, the dragons are being a nuisance despite never being a nuisance before, but hey, whatever gets the plot going, I guess. Thunder has to learn how to assert himself, even though he should definitely already know how to do that. This plot's already so fucking stupid. So a security beacon goes off in the realm that I called Jotunheim, remember that, and finds Namari and her pet Nazi mining for dragonsight.
That's why I brought along an insurance policy to guarantee that my operation would not be deterred.
What is she talking about?
Oh, I went kamikaze once! You don't think I'll do it again? I'll fucking do it again for sure! Oh my god. She's so fucking stupid. She really just did the same fucking thing again in the last season. She really is just fucking crazy. She's like that fucking, what's that character from Overwatch? Like the explosive guy? I don't play Overwatch, so I don't know what his fucking name is. Like, it's I think he's with the pig guy. I know that for sure. He's the guy that from the meme, he's like, I've got an idea! That guy, or whatever his name, I don't fucking know what he is, but she really likes explosions. Just blood and guts everywhere. It's like, wow, she did not think that through. So the bomb blows up, nobody gets hurt, obviously, and what the fuck do you think happens? Of course they discover a new realm. Now, given the dark, stormy nature of this new realm, and the fact that I've been keeping track of these realms since day 1, it's safe to bet that this is indeed Helheim, the realm of the dead. And on top of all that, we get a new dragon for this season called the Glasscaster, which is the nerdiest sounding name for a dragon that I have ever heard. It sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh monster or something. I summon Glasscaster in attack mode! Now, with that being said though, it is a pretty cool looking dragon, as per usual in this show. It's got this cool wolf-like look to it with its paws and the hair and... Wait a minute. Is that Fenrir? Fenrir, the great wolf of Norse legend? Yeah, I think that's him. I think that's supposed to be Fenrir, the wolf of legend. So for those who don't know, Fenrir is the son of Loki, who is a wolf. He's a half giant and half god who was chained up by Odin and left in Helheim to rot until the day of Ragnarok comes, to which he will be the one who kills Odin. This is actually a pretty cool idea if you're gonna bank on the 9 realms concept. I mean, imagine having dragons that are based off of Norse legends like Sleipnir, or Fafnir, or Nixie, or Nidhogg. There's tons of these different creatures that can easily be translated into the world of dragons. Now don't get me wrong, the dragons we've gotten in the show have been pretty cool admittedly, but imagine if all of these new dragons were based off of actual Norse mythology. I mean, I guess you could say some of them, like the Octofin, are already based on some legends, like the sea serpents, which is pretty basic if you think of it like that. But even if they did base some of their dragons off of Norse legends, they still never made it clear on what they were referencing, and the only reason I'm linking the Glasscaster with Fenrir is simply because of my own knowledge of Norse mythology. And keep in mind, I'm not some grand expert of Norse mythology or anything. I just, you know, I played God of War Ragnarok, alright? It's a good game. And I also listen to Brothers of Metal, which is a dope band, you should check them out. How cool would that have been for a kid's show? Not only could you let your imaginations run wild with the possibilities of creating all these various dragons based on already legendary creatures, but it's also a great opportunity to teach kids about another culture that's not their own. It's a win-win for everyone involved. But we're 7 whole seasons into this show, and they're only... Thanks. Thanks, man. But we're 7 seasons into this show, and they're only just now making Norse mythology a part of the show. In a show that is titled The 9 Realms. Go figure they take their time. In the final episode of the season, they actually refer to a giant dragon, Jormungandr, based off of the world serpent, which... Ooh, I will get to it. I will fucking get to it, don't you worry. So the Glasscaster, fuck it, I'm just calling it Fenrir. So Fenrir can create glass by blasting fire at the sand on its feet, which again is actually pretty cool. It also uses these crystals to help track its prey wherever it goes, which is less cool because it's not exactly blind. Why the fuck does it need to use echolocation if it can see perfectly fine? How does that work exactly? These questions are never answered, so honestly it doesn't matter. Look, I'm sorry I'm not talking about the plot of this episode that much, but frankly, I don't give a shit. I really don't. Unless you're like 7 years old, you know exactly what's gonna happen. You know Thunder's gonna grow a pair and learn to take charge, even though he should already know this. Whatever shenanigans that happen with Namari and her pet Nazi doesn't matter because she'll just escape. I just feel like if I talk about it, I'm gonna end up repeating myself from all my previous videos. It's just the writers not remembering anything they did as far back as last fucking fucking season, so they're just rehashing the same shit again. It's not the first time they've done this, and frankly, I doubt it'll even be the last. So blah blah blah, they beat Fenrir and go home. But then, we get this scene that's just... This is how I know they're watching my videos, specifically.
Yes, I knew it! Svartalfheim from Norse mythology.
Svartalfheim? The F is silent? You want to redo that line and say it properly this time? Also, what? That's Svartalfheim? The land of dwarves?
It was said to be a strange land of wealth and riches, inhabited by large, nasty trolls who forged weapons in the fire and smoke.
There are trolls all over the Nine Realms, you dumbass! They don't just exclusively live there in Svartalfheim, they live in Midgard too! Which would explain your troll-like attitude.
Or a large, nasty troll-like dragon that forges glass.
Oh, fuck off! You seriously mean to tell me that clearly wolf-like dragon wasn't a wolf, but a troll? Seriously? So that wasn't supposed to be Fenrir the wolf? It's just some boring, generic troll that can live anywhere in the Nine Realms, as opposed to this legendary wolf that specifically lives in Helheim, which this place clearly looks like? The first time ever in this show called the Nine Realms, where they bring the Nine Realms up, and they know nothing about the Nine Realms!
9 realms? Fire? Ice? Giant?
Today's realm makes 7.
7 my ass! You have the human world, Midgard, the hidden world, Asgard, the silver place, Alfheim, the fire realm, Muspelheim, ice realm, Niflheim, Wind Rose's place, Svartalfheim, the jungle book, Vanaheim, the giant place, Jotunheim, and lastly, the dark gloomy place that spells death, Helheim. That's 9! 9! I counted them all! That's fucking 9! I counted! Me! I'm the Nine Realms boy! I'm the one who counted! And now this show's trying to gaslight me into thinking I got the count wrong? Sorry, but no. I kept up to date with every season. I corrected myself whenever one of my assumptions ended up being incorrect. I counted every fucking realm more than these writers did. I counted the chickens and watched them hatch. How do you fuck up this majorly about your literal title card? It gets worse later down the line, but we'll get to that later. But my point here is that this show is called The Nine Realms. We've brought this up relentlessly in our previous videos. Not just me, but Audrey, Ember Nexus, and I assume others have as well, because, well, when you name your show The Nine Realms, and then wait 7 whole seasons to bring up the Nine Realms, it gets really confusing. And then, when you finally bring it up, you get your facts about Norse mythology flat out wrong. I think PragerU videos would be better suited to teach kids about Norse mythology than you people, and this is the shit they're teaching kids.
Slavery is as old as time, and has taken place in every corner of the world, even amongst the people I just left. Being taken as a slave is better than being killed, no? I don't see the problem.
What?
What the fuck?
Of course, this is June dishing out the information, so that wouldn't be too far off, now would it? Like I said, now I'm 100% sure they're watching my videos, because I know Audrey hasn't been keeping up. She said this show doesn't care, which she was right, and still is right, but I care! There's a standard, goddammit, and it just feels like this season is doing everything in its power to address all of our criticisms in the worst possible way. And if the previous episode with June was Audrey's middle finger, then this episode was a middle finger to me. Joke's on y'all though, I'm into it. Episode 4, writing a basic story. When you're writing a serialized series like, say, Race to the Edge, it's important to set up character arcs, drama, relationships, etc. ahead of time so that they have payoff later. For example, if you guys saw my Heather video a few months back, then that's a great example of one. While I wasn't too happy with how it ended, it was a great setup that began all the way back in RaisorBlade, and then had its payoff up to Season 4 of Race to the Edge. Now, despite my problems with Heather and Dagger's storyline, it still wraps up in a way that feels logical. Heather loses her family to Dagger. She wants revenge, so she goes undercover. Dagger, who's actually Heather's blood brother, starts to care about her and wishes to redeem himself. He sacrifices himself so that Heather can live, and well, if you saw my Heather video, then you know how I wasn't really satisfied with how it ended. I still think it ended way too safe and friendly. Dagger should have just plain never been brought back to begin with, and yeah, there's a whole video about my thoughts on that if you haven't watched it already. But despite my gripes with it, it still leaps and bounds beyond what the Nine Realms is doing. Because despite how safe Heather and Dagger's story ended up becoming, at least it was logical. As a narrative goes, it does make sense how they wrote it. Dagger going undercover to save Shattermaster does make sense and feels in character for him to do. Heather learning to forgive him, while I still think felt a little forced, again does add up since he did sacrifice himself for her and she acknowledges that. Even though I believe it to be a cop-out of the story's true potential, I will acknowledge it, at least, is a cohesive story from start to finish. Which is a lot more than I can say for pretty much most story arcs in this show. Thunder's family, only brought up like maybe 4 or 5 times throughout the entire show before being wrapped up in season 4, and then never being mentioned again after that. D'Angelo's drama with his dad, brought up way back in season 2, only to just suddenly be dealt with in season 7. Tom being a descendant of Hiccup? Honestly, a pretty useless factor when you really think about it. I mean, seriously, think about it. If you remove the element of Tom being a descendant of Hiccup, does anything really change? Does the story actually deviate away from its current direction if Tom just randomly found a dragon and the Book of Dragons and had zero connection to any of it? He'd still be the one who discovered dragons and be the de facto leader of the group anyway. It honestly makes zero difference if Tom was just some random kid who got lucky and discovered the hidden world. But if you ask me, he still should have been an Ingerman by the end of the day. My point is, it's honestly impressive just how the writing of the show ignores practically every rule necessary on how to write. This isn't some subjective thing, there are rules on how to write a good story. It's basic plot structure, or Freytag's pyramid as some people call it. And whether you're writing for a movie, TV show, short film, whatever, these are the rules you have to go by. The Nine Realms hardly follows any of these rules, often either setting up conflicts to never have any payoff to it, or just randomly having conflict with zero build-up to it at all. This is why the show feels like, despite things happening, it never seems to go anywhere. Despite major events like Buzzsaw attacking the base happening, the show still reverts into its borderline catatonic state by having these ludicrous time skips, or just reverting back to the status quo that is, discover a new realm or dragon. That's what every season focuses on. It's all set up, but no build-up or payoff. This show is nothing but ideas, and rather poorly thought out ones at that. Except for Alex, but we'll talk about her later. And that could not be made more clear than in episode 4 of this season. The episode where the group breaks up. Yeah, this fucking cliche.
Do you two care about...
So, Midgard is the world of humans. Is that the surface?
I'm not sure.
Oh, so now you consider Midgard, you fucking Neanderthals. So in this episode, June does one of her stupid tarot card readings, and if this episode gave me anything, it's everyone cringing at the idea of June doing anything. That was admittedly pretty funny. So June predicts that the group will break up, and from that point on, everyone gets mad over the stupidest shit. Also, I think Eugene just confirmed that he's bisexual.
And me and D, or Eugangelo, which we might call each other one day, are super tight.
Still better representation than Alex's moms, who are never in the show.
Well, sure, since you support me spending so much time at the hospital. Alex, we've been friends longer than you've even known Eugene.
D, don't listen to him.
Don't tell me what to do. I can listen to whoever I want.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah! Double! Oh, yeah!
You do realize we are arguing about how well we all get along?
Jesus, since when did y'all become such petulant little... Actually, I don't even know what I expect from any of you. Except for Alex. Alex is frankly disappointing in this episode and how she also goes along with the childishness. I'm sorry, my queen, but it's true. The only character whose anger is justified would have to be D'Angelo's when it comes to his dragon hospital, since it's the only thing that was pre-established in the previous episode. Tom and June wanting to link everything to Norse mythology is not important at all. Alex is correct, as always. Eugene is just being a dick, so I don't know why anyone is even listening to him. Why exactly does Tom have a problem with D'Angelo's hospital? Isn't helping dragons a good thing? Didn't you learn that in season 3? Remember, even though that was stupid too? This is exactly what I'm talking about. The show hasn't taken any time to actually establish a reason for the group to break up naturally. So they just have to start being petty over stupid shit like, duh, don't tell me what to do. Frankly, the team has had reasons to break up in the past. Like when Tom lied about his connection to Vikings to the others, especially Alex.
If the dragon riders are gonna work, you have to start letting us into yours. You're a natural leader, Cullerson. You just don't know it yet.
And so far, we've found nothing to explain it.
You told June? Huh, I see how it is.
Or when Eugene joined the group and not everyone was on board with the idea. Or June prioritizing her stupid miss over everyone else's well-being. You know, things that are actually important, things that could actually split up a group. Lies, disagreements, just plain selfishness. None of these things are really the reason for why the group breaks up at the end of the episode. It's just everyone being a dick over dumb petty shit. Oh, your tarot cards suck, June, which is true, but my point still stands. Oh, you hogged all the itching cream. Oh, I hate how sarcastic you are, Alex, which is blasphemy. That's the worst one. Even the dragons get sick of their shit at the end of the episode and just ditch them in order to save the town from some typhoomerangs. Oh yeah, by the way, there are typhoomerangs in this episode. Or maybe I should call them Timberjacks so we can go full circle on that bit. They even have the guts to change the score at the end credits to really let it sink in how nothing's ever gonna be the same again. It's not like anyone died. They didn't change the end credits for last season when the city was attacked by Buzzsaw, or when Olivia learned about dragons, things that are significantly more impactful than this petty squabble. This whole breakup just reeks of sheer desperation from the writers, who have no idea how to keep the show going, when clearly it was supposed to end at least 2 whole seasons ago. Meanwhile, they're still ignoring characters like Olivia outright, as well as never referencing things like Thunder's family ever again. There's ideas here that they're just outright ignoring, and it sucks. Also, you might want to change Tom's last name to Cuckerson, because this boy is whipped more than a Johnny Test episode.
Are you sweating, my nigga?
I do everything for you. I give you all my money. I treat you like a queen. I even let you date other people.
Where they do that at?
Didn't let that shit happen to me, though.
Why won't you let me kiss you?
You're a fucking idiot. Just because you perform these subservient tasks for someone who doesn't even like you in the first place doesn't mean you're entitled to a reward.
Put their ass on
You're just as bad as a fucking incel. You're a fucking simp.
Episode 5, Eugene. So Eugene has been the most, how do I put this, frustratingly good thing this show has given us. I don't like the character particularly myself, but I get it. I get why people like Audrey say they do like the character. But for me, the inconsistency of him is what severely holds him back. I think people more like the idea of his character development and the stuff he goes through, like in Season 6, Episode 4, and less the actual character we got. They want to like him, which is why they're so forgiving of him when he falls back into his annoying trains. Eugene is an asshole, just straight up. He's an unlikable idiot who isn't charming or funny in the slightest. Every time that there's a joke of his, it usually revolves around just bullying one of the main characters or just falling on his ass like he's Paul Blart Mall Cop or something. That's his shtick. But every once in a blue moon, he'll actually have a nice character moment, usually with Webmaster or with Alex. But it's just hard to really get attached to the character when they can't stick to that development and he keeps reverting back to being an asshole in the very next episode. And this episode is a good example of why I can't stand Eugene. So the group is officially broken up, and now Eugene is all alone. Poor Eugene. He can't bully the other characters anymore. How sad.
My sensors are sensing something. Time to make a snarky comment. Snark, snark, snark.
Never mind, he found a way to keep bullying the other characters. Although it was a little funny when he made fun of June. That's fine. I'll let that slide. Dee is working on his dragon hospital. Alex is busy being a boss. And Tom and June start going on dates.
Oh, barf. Nope, no thank you. Hard pass.
Easily the most relatable Eugene moment. It's not even a contest, really. So, being all alone, Eugene decides to create a Eugene team. Doesn't it just roll off the tongue so well? I will admit it is kind of funny how he just barges into Alex's house and walks off with both of her moms with very little effort. That's some pimp shit right there. I gotta respect it. So, yeah, remember how the marketing for this season lied about how the adults were all gonna get their own dragons? Well, this is what they were marketing. A dumb little montage of Alex's moms, this guy who looks like he'd be voiced by Tom Kenny, and a bubble horn, I guess? I don't know. So yeah, it obviously doesn't work out because Eugene is an incompetent dumbass.
I can't look.
Come on, you're fine.
Meanwhile, while on their date, Tom and June discover Namari and her pet Nazi talking to Buzzsaw and wanting to make an alliance. So, big surprise there, Namari is gonna become this show's Vigo because this show can't thrive without stealing ideas from other things. So, wait, does this mean that Linda's gonna become this show's Riker? I can only imagine how that's gonna work. Does this mean she'll be flattened by a boat too? Well, I guess time will tell.
Guess you guys work for Buzzsaw, huh? He seems
Nice.
Hey, by nice, you mean he lets us eat every once in a while.
So they don't get paid. What the fuck? Why are y'all even here? This one can literally change his race. Dude, sign up for a circus or something. Y'all can make so much money off of that alone. So, unsurprisingly, Eugene gets captured by Buzzsaw. Namara makes fun of him because, boo, Eugene! The others come together to save him, and they all decide not to get back together because we still have 2 episodes left of this season. Oh, the anxiety is getting to me. The money that went into making this shit could have gone to African children. Just so you know. Episode 6. Alex. It's become a broken record at this point, and everyone agrees, but yeah. Alex is best girl. She really is the one thing that came from the show that is unironically good. She is to the 9 Realms what Baymax was to Big Hero 6. Now, with that being said, I honestly believe at this point that Alex being this well written was a fluke. Considering the fact that Alex hasn't had her own episode in at least 2 seasons, and even then, she was partnered with another character in those episodes, really, the last time Alex actually had any screen time to herself was way back in Season 3, Episode 3. Over a year ago, which for this show is a long time. It's way overdue for our queen to get some solo screen time. And I think the writers are aware of how popular Alex is now, so this episode is meant to placate us. To make the audience happy. They know now that nobody was rooting for Tom and June, but by now they already committed to the bit, so they couldn't give audiences what they really wanted. Even though they absolutely could give audiences what they wanted, they just chose not to. But I guess this episode is supposed to be the next best thing, I guess. Yay! They even give Alex a fancy new black undershirt to really show us that they care about Alex. I mean, sure, it's cute, I guess, but if you're gonna give a character a new uniform, then how about you go all out? Alex has changed a lot since Season 1. Wouldn't it make more sense if she started wearing khakis or something like she's Bindi Irwin or something now that she goes outside a lot? That'd be pretty badass, actually. And super cute, too. And reflect her character growth. Just saying. Look, sorry if I sound so pessimistic when it comes to the best character, but it honestly feels like with the way the show's been blatantly ignoring her when the writers are fully aware of how popular she's become over the course of the show, it really just feels like this episode and what it offers is just too little too late, considering how not only does she not end up with Tom in the end, despite the chemistry, but also how the final episode goes, which we'll get into when we get to it. Is what we get in this episode good? Sure, it's easily the best episode of this season, not just because of Alex, but because of what she does in it, but does it make up for the writers ignoring her most of the time, say for a sarcastic line in every episode or something? Absolutely not. It's made even worse when the writers are also well aware at how much the other characters are unpopular and, at times, even despised by the fans. I think D'Angelo is the only character other than Alex who isn't outright hated for whatever reason. He's fine. But Tom's a dumbass, Eugene is an asshole, and June is a... So in this episode, Alex is trying to play a game of chess with her tablet, who she has way better chemistry with than any other character. But everyone keeps using her for tech support.
Okay, Wendy. Where did we leave off?
There you are! We almost didn't check in here. Usually, you avoid the visitor center.
Why the fuck does a secret government facility have a visitor center? Especially now that there's dragons running around? That's about as useful as a ski resort in Egypt. Also, we see Eugene topless for some reason. Man, what is up with this season and the top male nudity? It's more than usual and it's kind of weird. So Alex understandably gets pissed off at the others, especially Tom, who basically belittles her for simply wanting to play her video game.
Seriously? Do you honestly care more about your fake tablet friend than your actual friends?
Bitch. You know that was done to get people to stop shipping them. He's with June now, guys. Get over it. Oh, fuck off.
Thunder, wait!
Oh, now Thunder goes alpha. For no good reason at all. Could have done that earlier. Oh, what's the point? So blah, blah, blah. Alex runs away and gets captured by Buzzsaw. The others try to fix Alex's tablet because they very sorry. But Alex, being the best girl, pretends to leave the Dragon Riders and wants to join Buzzsaw's team. She breaks the sensor beacons, manages to earn Buzzsaw's trust, and while that's going on, we get this. I didn't realize there was a life here nearby. That was crazy. Okay. So the others find Alex and Buzzsaw. Tom actually goes for the head for once and tries to kill Buzzsaw at one point. Like, okay. And Alex, I guess, gives us what might be the greatest moment in the entire show.
I told you, I'm not a dragon rider anymore. Sing him to sleep, Feathers. I said fire! Again!
Look, I'm sorry if I don't sound all too pleased. It's just that I know why they're giving us Dark Alex. It's not because we've been asking for it. It's because they spent so much time ignoring Alex in exchange for everyone else. And yet, they can't fully commit to the idea. They can't actually have Alex become a villain. That'd go way too far. Wouldn't it be more interesting if Alex did develop a crush on Tom? I mean, think about it. He helped her bond with Feathers, she opened up about her culture and her life, she confided in him about her own past, something that she's never done with anyone before, really. Not even Eugene, the person she's arguably closest to the second. Now, imagine having a crush on the boy who got you to open up. And after you did open up and enter a whole new world thanks to this boy, he goes behind your back to another girl. And from that point on, your relevancy in his life starts to dwindle. He doesn't trust you the same way you trust him, and on top of that, after another attempt at getting in his good graces, he still ends up with that toxic bitch who's no good for him. No one else values you that way. The one other guy who you might have had a connection with too turns out to be a dick. And finally, the straw that broke the camel's back, the boy you're head over heels with, is finally dating that skank. Yeah. I'd say fuck this bullshit too. Imagine that being her motivation to leave the group. Not just for this one episode, but for the breakup of the group in general. She's just sick of being treated like the last resort for everyone in the group. She was the last one brought into the group before Eugene, and that was by complete accident. She'd genuinely just be sick of everyone's shit. Of course, by the end, she would only be getting the Book of Dragons back just to prove herself to the team that she's more than just the IT department. Obviously, that wouldn't make everything okay, and that would be the point at the end of the episode, that there's still tons of lingering emotion between her and Tom. But the feelings would be laid out on the table. The team would feel awkward, especially Tom and June, but by that point, Alex doesn't care. She got the book back for the boy she loved, and even if she got nothing from it, at least she showed Tom what he missed out on. That's some real queen shit right there. Of course, the team would now be more broken apart than ever, as how do you even come back from that? Oh shit, that's right, we're talking about what actually happened in this episode. So Alex successfully gets the Book of Dragons back, but it's revealed that Namari took pictures of the pages, so they technically still have it. Alex then reveals that Buzzsaw is looking for the Death Dragon, which is revealed in the next episode to be Jormungandr. And this is where things get awful. I mean, more awful-er than they already were, but yeah, it gets pretty bad here. Episode 7, Hiccup. Like I said back in episode 4, Tom being Hiccup's descendant is a useless plot device. It means nothing, and nothing makes that more clear than this episode. It was clearly meant by the writers to just have some loose connection to the original property and nothing else. Because why wouldn't the main character be a descendant of Hiccup? Well, I don't know. Were the main characters of the Rescue Riders related to Hiccup in any way? No, that's what I thought. If Tom was just some stupid kid who discovered dragons and that stupid ass capsule with the Book of Dragons in it or whatever, then it wouldn't make a dent in the story whatsoever. All that talk about trying to be like Hiccup and being a chief and whatnot, it would still work just as well with a normal kid who has no blood connection to Hiccup at all. Besides, we clearly still have dragons from Race to the Edge like the Monstrous Nightmare and Gronkles and stuff. The connection's already there, y'all just trying too hard now. But aside from his connection to Tom, this show manages to bastardize Hiccup when he's already dead. Yeah, that's right. You thought feeding his leg to a dragon was insulting to him? That is nothing compared to what this episode does to him. But this show actually manages to turn Hiccup, who's already long dead by this point, from the heroic, dragon-loving, risk-taking Viking into... well, you'll just have to see it. So June is trying to learn about what that giant dragon is. It's Jormungandr. You literally named the episode that, so there's no suspense to this reveal at all. Just get to the point already, shit.
I did learn some things. In Norse mythology, the Dark Realm is a creepy, desperate place, sometimes known as Helheim.
Oh wow! She actually said it correctly this time. Well, color me impressed.
beast drawn here must be Jormungandr. The book claims it's the apex predator to all dragons.
Yeah, because what the fuck even is a Bewilderbeast anyway? Or the Red Death? Or an Alpha Dragon? Why have we never heard of this dragon before if it's this much of a big deal? If Jormungandr is the apex predator that is stronger than all dragons, then why the fuck has no one ever mentioned this before? It's from Norse mythology, so the Vikings obviously knew about it, and yet not a single character in the original franchise ever mentioned it to my knowledge. I don't know, maybe there's a throwaway line somewhere in Race to the Edge that Audrey would know about, but I don't care enough to look it up.
It probably also explains why dragons are afraid of eels.
Yeah, it's not like they're fucking poisonous or anything, D'Angelo. The fucking vet, and you can't put it together that some animals just can't eat other animals? Also, literally 3 episodes ago, you saw the Typhoomerangs eating the eel, so I guess they just don't give a fuck about Jormungandr at all. Hell, why would any dragon be afraid of Jormungandr considering where it is? Sorry. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. But whatever, they go through their books and head towards Helheim.
If you're right, June, and the crystal whip is waiting for us, we should have worn our fire suits.
Yeah, but then the animators would have to animate that, and yeah, that would just be too much work. We all know that. So they enter Helheim, but soon begin to fight each other again because, yeah, they're all petty little shits now, and they fight over every stupid little thing. D'Angelo tries to keep the peace, but eventually this happens.
You're all driving me nuts! June, your stupid myths and tarot cards are what broke us up to begin with.
Based.
And if I have to hear one more sarcastic comment that undermines a mission, I'm gonna throw up, Alex.
Heresy!
And Eugene, the poisonous apple. We never should have let you join us.
Again, based.
And Tom, you call yourself a leader? You're a joke, man. You couldn't lead a flood fang to a watering hole.
Yep. Really starting to sound like a YouTube video. Almost like one that I may have made, or Audrey may have made, or literally any other YouTuber would have made. If this is the writer's idea of acknowledging and validating critics, then they're dead wrong. Because they're not fixing these characters, they're simply repeating what we said. First off, the writers just chalk up everything that Dee just said to these rocks that's making everyone more irritable than usual. This undermines their actual feelings, as now you can just say, oh well, the rocks made him say that. It's not actually them that have the problems, which leads to my second problem, it's them! They are everything that is wrong with them. Except for Alex. Alex is fine. June is a toxic bitch who puts way too much faith in myths and shit. Tom is a dumbass and a piss poor leader who makes terrible choices all the fucking time and never learns from them. Eugene really is a poisonous apple. He's a massive cuck who bullies everyone in the group. And this show actually thinks giving him these sympathy points will suddenly make that shit okay. Imagine if they pull that shit with BoJack Horseman. It'd be fucking insulting. And the only reason no one goes up on D is because, frankly, he's bland as shit. Out of everyone in the group, he is easily the most boring character. Sure, he had a few good moments back in earlier seasons, but now he ain't got shit. All we know about his character is that he doesn't want to be like his dad, and he wants to be a vet. That's it. He is so flat. At least I'm going to remember the rest of the characters, for better or for worse, but when the show ends, I'm going to have a rough go of it trying to remember anything substantial that he's done in the long run.
You act like you're so perfect, Eugene. What have you ever done wrong?
I believed in us. I thought I was finally part of something big. Something legendary. The Dragon Riders. Something nobody could take away. We just let it all fall apart like a bunch of losers.
Yeah, sorry, no. Eugene's still an asshole to me. I don't care how much this means to him. Actions speak louder, and he's acted like a total dick. Forgive me for not buying into his sob story the same way that the rest of the group does.
I guess Tom and I have been spending a lot of time away from you guys.
Yeah, one whole fucking day was, actually, admittedly, too much for me. But you guys get my point, right? So hooray, the Dragon Runners are unified again. It was stupid, shallow, forced, and just plain dumb. Basically, par of the course for the show. But here comes the part that I warned you about. The part that absolutely ruins Hiccup as a character, despite the fact that he's fucking dead. So after patching things up, they discover this giant cage in the wall, and on top of the cage is the strike class symbol, a sign that Hiccup had been there before.
Look! The dragon symbol is above the gate. Hiccup must have locked this dragon away all those years ago.
Say that again.
The dragon symbol is above the gate. Hiccup must have locked this dragon away all those years ago.
One more time.
Hiccup must have locked this dragon away all those years ago.
What?
No, all right. I know that sounds bad.
You heard it here, folks. Hiccup, the guy who wouldn't kill a dragon, just captured this one dragon somehow, locked it away in this big-ass cage, and just left it there. To die. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? What fucking crack are you smoking where Hiccup would ever do that? Hiccup would never do that. Where and anywhere in the How to Train Your Dragon franchise was it ever implied that Hiccup would just lock a dragon away because it was apparently too scary or dangerous? Hell, the closest thing I can imagine coming even close to that is him killing the Red Death. And that was purely out of self-defense for him and his tribe, nothing else.
I was a coward. I was weak. I wouldn't kill a dragon.
You said wouldn't that time.
Okay, whatever. I wouldn't. I wouldn't kill him because he looked as frightened as I was. I looked at him and I saw myself.
Hiccup would never go out of his way to hurt a dragon, regardless of its size or destructive capabilities. Hiccup was a peacekeeper who at the end allowed dragons to leave them so that they would remain safe from any potential harm. He said goodbye to his best friend so that the world of dragons wouldn't be threatened. And you're gonna tell me, with all of your chest, that Hiccup would lock up a dragon and just leave it there? No questions asked? Oh, well, maybe they came back to feed it. Yeah, until they all died, and then Hiccup went through this stupid, elaborate path on hiding the clues to the dragon world. Clues that could only have been found by sheer dumb luck. The Book of Dragons was in a wall. A wall that had to be destroyed by a complete fucking accident. There was no way for Tom and the others to know that it was there. They just found it because the plot fucking demanded them to. This also heavily implies that Jormungandr is over 1,000 years old, which admittedly isn't the most unbelievable thing. If you told me that the Bewilderbeast was over 1,000 years old, I'd probably believe it. But at least the Bewilderbeast would have food, water, things it needs to survive. Jormungandr's been stuck in this cage for over 1,000 years. Who's been taking care of it? Everyone who knew about this cage, which as far as we know was only Hiccup and possibly Astrid as well, is dead. What, is there like a sun people thing like out of Avatar 2 that's been secretly taking care of it? No? I don't fucking know. If there's not, this would mean that Jormungandr should be fucking dead too, right? These dragons aren't magical beings like out of Harry Potter. They are just animals in this world. Normal animals that function like normal animals. Plus, it was made clear earlier in this season, all of the misconceptions of Norse mythology were just picked up from the hidden world. So Jormungandr isn't some mythical creature, it's just another dragon, albeit a really big one. Plus, if it's been in this cage for so long, how would any other dragon be so terrified of it that they would become terrified of eels as a result? It's been stuck in a cage for over 1,000 years. How would dragons even know of its existence? Oh, and plus you need a Night Fury in order to open the gate, which is really interesting. Did Hiccup actually plan on letting Jormungandr out at some point? Why? What's the point of the release mechanism if you just wanted to trap it? Hiccup isn't a dragon trapper. This makes no fucking sense! And if by some dumbass coincidence he hoped the future generation would free it, then I guess they'd be fucked if they didn't have a Night Fury or Nightlight or whatever. I can only imagine what was going through the writers' heads when they wrote this shit. They were actively thinking of ways on how to bastardize the main character from the original franchise by having him pull off this insanely cruel shit that makes PETA look like the Irwin family in comparison. You know what? I'm also wondering what was going on through Hiccup's head while he was conducting this whole thing. Can you even imagine?
And done. Okay, that ought to keep Jormungandr in there for the rest of time.
Or until it dies. Whichever comes first.
Hiccup?
Well, if it isn't my loving wife and best friend. Funny, I thought you asked you guys to stay on the boat with the kids, who we definitely brought with us so they can see all the hard work we did here.
Yeah. We've been meaning to talk to you about all of this.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up, Hiccup.
What? What's so messed up about this? We're simply locking this dragon in a cage so that it can never escape or hurt anybody. Ever.
Yeah, or hunt, or mate, or do anything. Hiccup, we don't do this to dragons. You're behaving no better than Vigo, or Drago.
Or my wife.
What?
Sorry, that was supposed to remain private.
I don't even want to know, but you can't do this, Hiccup. No matter how dangerous Jormungandr is, it's still a dragon.
But milady, this isn't some dragon. It's Jormungandr. The world serpent?
World serpent, my ass. That puny thing looks like it could barely wrap around a terrible terror.
But it's Jormungandr. The thing's a menace.
But we didn't do this to the Red Death, or Drago's Bewilderbeast, or my wife.
Fish legs, stop.
Shutting up now.
Hiccup, this isn't like you. We don't hurt dragons. We help them.
Well, you guys are overreacting. It's Jormungandr. I'm sure it'll be fine in this cage without anyone watching over it or feeding it, and it's left here in this dark cave that's damn near impossible to find. Good thing my descendant will figure it out, all thanks to my carefully made elaborate plan on how to give them the Book of Dragons. 1,000 years from now.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that too.
This is fucked up, Hiccup! It's fucked up! We don't lock up animals just because they're scary or big. We love them unconditionally, even though there is the great possibility that one day she'll eat me alive!
Like your wife?
Like my wife! I'm in a very unhealthy marriage, Hiccup. I knew I should have married Heather.
We all knew you should have married Heather.
Jesus. Yeah, I guess I could have gone like that, maybe. Fuck. So Buzzsaw shows up, and what a surprise! He somehow brings in the Sky Torture.
I call him my new helper. I used a couple of flame spitters to hook him. Nice catch, huh?
And I did it off screen! Because fuck animating things, and fuck things making sense! So Thunder opens the gate in order to save everyone, releasing Jormungandr into the world.
That's it?
That's the World Serpent? It looks about the same size as the Sky Torture, maybe just a little bigger. This is your apex predator? Compared to the Red Death and the Bewilderbeast? Needless to say, I'm disappointed. I don't even care if it's implied that it did kill the Sky Torture. This thing looks fucking weak. It can't fly. I assume it can't breathe fire or anything since it's just a big snake. This is not the monster that Amon Amarth wrote about in their epic power ballad Twilight of the Thunder God. How did anyone consider this puny thing as the World Serpent? My god. But clearly not Hiccup, since he was apparently able to cage the whole thing. And that is where Season 7 ends. With Jormungandr released, I guess the world is in danger now? How will the team defeat Jormungandr? I don't know, probably the same way they did the Fault Ripper, or the Skrill, or the Sky Torture, twice, or the Snow Race, or a Buzzsaw multiple times. They'll just gang up on the poor thing and either find a way to befriend it, or just lock it back up again because it's not like it's a fucking animal or anything. God damn it. This season fucking pissed me off. More than any season before it. I feel dirty for giving this show the benefit of the doubt in my last video. I cannot believe that it actually could get this bad. Actually, I can't, because I didn't expect them to embrace their shittiness, to get all smug about it, to be this all self-aware about it. Instead of listening to the critiques that people have made about this show and applying it to their writing, they're just repeating what we said. Mockingly so. They know the parents are useless, yet they keep them out anyway. Dee's father is the only exception this season. Alex's moms are in one episode, and Olivia or May are basically ODing in a toilet stall somewhere. They know that June is despised by all the fans, all of the fans, and yet she's still going to remain unlikable and weird. And of course, she gets with Tom in the end despite no one shipping them, which only makes me worry for these writers' mental health. Like, if this is a healthy relationship for them, I'd seriously hate to see what's a bad relationship for them, honestly. Then they go out of their way to fuck up Norse mythology by getting so much of it wrong, and take ideas that were practically gift-wrapped for them and throw it on the ground for the rats to eat. They can't write compelling drama when they're 7 seasons into their show at this point, 46 episodes at this point. They can't pick a fucking tone with Eugene. They casually wasted the best character in the show and think giving her this episode's gonna make up for it. And finally, they not only regurgitate every solid, reasonable, justifiable criticism that this show has brought upon itself, but then they have the gall to dig up the corpse of this franchise's most beloved character and turn him into a fucking psycho who gets off on torturing animals. Literally, what the fuck is wrong with you, the Nine Realms? This season wasn't just bad, it was spiteful, angry, like a pissy child who can't get their way. And considering how John's been acting on Twitter lately, it's safe to assume that this is the mindset the writers on the show had as well when making this one. They're not sick of making shit, they're sick of people shitting on them for making shit. Well, excuse me, but when you shit on something that means a lot to a lot of people, then newsflash, people are gonna get pissed. We never meant any offense or insult to anyone working on this show, and I still don't at the end of the day. I never have. It should just go without saying, as I'm just doing my job and reviewing this show honestly. This was easily the worst season of the show, because I can't fucking stand it when a show looks at the potholes on the road and decide that they can drive on that. They ripped off Avatar in this season. They practically ripped us off, but at least we're funny. But now after this, they've admitted that they have no interest in improving themselves and fixing any of the major issues that plague this show the way they do. And considering how this season ended, I have no faith left in how this show will end. Now there really is nowhere left for this show to go. Season 8 likely, or at least hopefully, will be the final season. Thunder's family has been found, Tom learned about his connection to Hiccup, and now all 9 realms have officially been discovered. Fuck off. The only thing really left to resolve now is to defeat Buzzsaw, defeat Namari, and I guess now Jormungandr. This show had a high bar to live up to, and while granted it'd be tough for a lot of shows to live up to it, it doesn't change the fact that this show didn't even try. It's always worn its true intentions on its sleeve. It is a cash grab. The Nine Realms is a perfect example of what happens when companies just can't let art be art. They see it simply as a money-making machine. And sadly, even when the Nine Realms ends, it won't be the end. Yeah, I know Dean DuBois and John Powell are coming back for the live-action remake, but if Disney has shown me anything, it's that these live-action remakes can't be trusted. Unless Dean DuBois just completely reinvents the film from the ground up and makes it an entirely new experience, then I'm not gonna like it. It needs to be at least 90% a different movie from the original for me to say, okay, there's actually a point to this remake other than just making money. Otherwise, I'm just gonna look at this movie the same way I do the Nine Realms. At the very least, we do still have the original trilogy and Race to the Edge. And if you're capable of ignoring the Nine Realms altogether, then you should be capable of still enjoying what's already great. And while it always will be great, I just can't forgive how this show tried to drag Hiccup down to its level. It's scummy, it's shit, and frankly, it's just low. And that's why Dragons the Nine Realms Season 7 fucking pissed me off. If I'm forced to change the video style because of monetization or whatever, then just know that's what the video is really called.
We all knew you should have married Heather.